Friends, you may be seated. I think that is the second shortest gospel reading I've done since I've been here. So, I'll make you stand for that anyway. So today, as I said, we're kicking off our sermon series, A Place at the Table. And we have this scene from the gospel in which we find people of all walks of life being drawn to Jesus, right? Seeking him out. They've heard about his teaching and the healing that he's done, and they feel compelled to seek him out. And in this scene, not only do we have Jesus and his disciples and this ragtag of people he's collected around him, but there's also those, the scribes and the Pharisees, those the religious leaders of the community, those people that are kind of the gatekeepers, dare I say the table setters, right? And they're seeing who Jesus is communing with, and they're not having it. Because they look at those people whom Jesus is breaking bread with and passing judgment on them, right? Saying these are tax collectors, which in Jesus' day, those people were considered to be traitors to the nation of Israel, to their people. They worked for the Romans, and they skimmed off the top. They profited it off the suffering of the people. And so for tax collectors to be this symbol of oppression and hatred for the Jewish community, to be sitting with Jesus, that was considered a great and grievous thing. How dare he break bread with those people that are against us? And then just this category of sinners, right? This man welcomes tax collectors and sinners. I look out here, I see a lot of great people out here, but I tell you what, every single one of us, myself included, would be considered a sinner and not welcome at that table. The table of the Pharisees and the scribes would be quite small, hence the smallness of our table today. Right? We've moved the altar out of here to symbolize what the table would look like if we followed the example of those religious elites. And if we started fencing the table, that's up here, there'd be like, imagine a fence. Saying you can't cross here because you're not good enough. You're not religious enough. You don't say the right things, you don't do the right things, so you are not allowed access to this space. You are not allowed a seat at the table. And if we followed that logic and started saying who was in and who was out, there would be room only for one person at that table. And it wouldn't be any of us. Jesus challenges us to see one another, not as the Pharisees and the scribes did, not to look at ourselves, I look at other people, say, well, they're not good enough. They don't belong here, they shouldn't be here. And I've talked with people who have come out of bad experiences. In a smaller community, this is a little more prevalent, where the sins of people are known by the community. And then for them to walk into a church, come with that heart that needs the love and grace of God, but to be kept out by the judgment of their community. Say, I know what you did, and how dare you come to church? You think you belong here? That's the thinking that goes on in the world. That's the thinking that happens in our churches. We cannot allow that kind of thinking to pervade in our churches, in our communities. Right? Because every single person, especially the least and the lost and the lonely and the sinners, which is us all, we all need to be here. We all need to have access and a place at the Lord's table. Because we need that. We need that forgiveness. We need that grace. We need that understanding and mercy that Jesus offers to us. This man welcomes sinners and tax collectors. That was considered a critique. That was an insult. against Jesus. Rather, that should be a word of praise and thanksgiving. Say, this man welcomes tax collectors and sinners. This man welcomes the people who need love and mercy and grace. This man opens wide the doors and spreads the table out as far and as wide as it needs to go. That is the example that Jesus sets for us. And we need to model that in our own hearts, so that when we see those who gather at Christ's table, we see people in need of grace and love, in need of restoration and hope and mercy. And we should celebrate every person who comes to the table. Say, this man welcomes them. This man welcomes you and all of us. Amen.